Hello and welcome to another EFL Extravaganza here on Sports Talk. It's the third one that I've put together for you now this season. Thanks very much for all the support on the last video as well, by the way. 300 plus views I think we got, so thanks very much for all the likes, all the shares, all the comments. We really appreciate all of that stuff. And as much as you guys can do with that, that'd be absolutely amazing. Thank you. Of course, no championship this weekend because it's been the international break. So I have to move straight on into League One and just start there. So my game of the weekend is in League One, and it's Bristol Rovers 6-0 drubbing of Northampton. Northampton, obviously a really difficult result for them, not looking good in the table now, down into the relegation zone. And Billy Bowden scored against his former club to make it 1-0 just before the break. And then it was Ellis Harrison who bagged a quick double early on in the second half before Alex Ravel was sent off for the hosts with 20 minutes still to play. Rovers didn't take their foot off the gas though. They kept the pace up, and it was another 2 quick goals for them soon after the red card through Rory Gaffney and Liam Sercombe. And Dominic Telford capped off the rout in the 86th minute. As I say, Northampton now in the relegation zone. Their goal difference has taken a real big knock as well. It's on -14 now, which is the worst in the league. And Rovers are looking comfortable now up into mid-table. They're in 12th position on 18 points, and they're just 2 points off of the playoffs as well. So moving on into the rest of League One, and Shrewsbury remain on top of the league with a 1-1 draw away to Walsall. Daniel Aggie put the hosts ahead early on with a strike from 20 yards, and it looked as though the Shrewsbury might lose their unbeaten record for the season. But Stephen Payne stepped up to slot home a penalty to get the equaliser and keep that unbeaten record intact for the season. And Doncaster came to a resounding 4-1 win at home to Southend. Anthony Wordsworth gave Southend the lead in the 38th minute, but that was cancelled out by John Marquis's goal just before the break. And then Ben Whiteman with a spectacular 10-minute hat-trick for the Dons early in the second half made it 4-1. The first was an amazing reaction shot. The ball pinged back to him off the post with a quick finish. The second one was a stunner from just outside the box, and the third one was a calmly slotted away penalty. So a nice hat-trick for Whiteman there, giving his side, Doncaster, a convincing 4-1 victory. And Bradford City, they fancied the same scoreline as well. They won 4-1 away to MK Dons. It was the Aston Villa loanee Aaron Tish-Bowler who was sent off for a red card in the 5th minute for the Dons, leaving them with a mountain to climb at home to Bradford. Roman Vincelot scored just 6 minutes later as well, putting the visitors into the lead. Charlie White's brace and Paul Taylor's first goal of the season meant that Ethan Ebanks-Landell's goal for the hosts was merely a consolation. Bradford remain in third now, but they're just 2 points behind Wigan, who won 2-1 at Scunthorpe as well on Saturday. Lee Evans was sent off for the Latics for a headbutt on Funso Ojo, and goals from Dan Byrne and Nick Powell came for Wigan there. And then it was Ojo himself who scored the consolation goal for Scunthorpe in the 90th minute. The bottom end of League One, and Plymouth are still rooted to the bottom of the table on just 5 points after a defeat at home to Fleetwood Town. 2-1 the scoreline was. Fleetwood forward Geordie Hawula scored what looked like being the only goal of the game in the 64th minute. But then a late goal came from Amiri Bell to make it 2-0 in the 93rd minute. It looked like they'd seen the game out, but then the Plymouth substitute Alex Fletcher bundled in a consolation at Home Park in the 95th minute, giving them just a little bit of hope there at home. But no, they couldn't pick up a point, unfortunately. They remain in really bad form. But trying to turn their season around, they've signed free agent Tumani Diagaraga, try and shore up their team there and crawl off the bottom of the table and out of that relegation zone. And Oxford won 3-0 at home to Wimbledon thanks to Wes Thomas scoring his 5th goal of the season. They've had a very good upturn in form after not such a good few games, but looking a lot better now at the Kassam Stadium on Saturday. That was. Oxford are up to 10th now, and Wimbledon in poor form, and they're just inside the relegation zone. And Scottish winger Matty Kennedy scored the only goal of the game as Portsmouth overcame Gillingham 1-0 live on television yesterday. The Cardiff loanee bagged his 2nd of the season and proved that Pompey can score without the injured Brett Pittman. On to League Two now, and Rob Milsom's stoppage time header preserved Notts County's unbeaten home record as they were held to a draw by Forest Green at Meadow Lane. County were limited to just 2 efforts on target. Surprising, that was top against bottom before the weekend began. Forest Green have managed to take themselves out of the relegation places. They're now on 6 points. They've left Chesterfield bottom of the league after they've of course just been relegated last season. Chesterfield lost at Lincoln, and Port Vale are now 23rd thanks to defeat to Grimsby Town. And it was Exeter who went top of the league over Notts County with a 1-0 win at Carlisle. Exeter have bounced back from back-to-back defeats, and now they've gotten 2 wins on the spin, showing County that they are a force to be reckoned with in this little title race that they've got bouncing in between the 2 clubs. And Luton Town also won at Accrington to sneak into the 3rd automatic promotion spot, but they're only joint on points with Wickham up there at the top of League Two. It's very, very close in that playoff area. Teams are changing every week, so we'll have to see how that one pans out. Well, that sums up my extravaganza for this week. Thanks very much for joining. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and of course check out the podcast on SoundCloud, and we are on iTunes now as well, so don't forget to go and download over there. You can find all the links you need in the description, and you can also listen on the go if you like. And of course, not forgetting, I've got a clue for you for this week's audience question. And you'll have to go into the podcast to hear the full question, but the extra clue that you get for watching this video is that it involves wheels. That's it. It sounds like a bit of a weird one if you hadn't heard the full question, but go ahead and check it all out. Thanks very much for watching. See you next week.